Hi, this is Tanya. I recently put on my iPad a request to people on the budget meals, snacks and desserts page whether they would be interested in me preserving my tomato marinara or Napoli sauce. And so I got a huge amount of responses. I was expecting about 20 and I got like hundreds. So I'm doing it on video for you. I hope that's okay. So let's get started. Basically I bought a 7 kilo box of Roma tomatoes. I always use Roma tomatoes when I make my sauce, but you don't have to. You can use any type of tomato. And these are sort of out of season, so I paid a bit more than I should have. So when you want to do your preserving, try and do it in season. I did do it in season. I actually did it twice. And family members and friends took the pasta. We ate the pasta sauce. You can use it for all kinds of things as well, from, you know, with eggs, with parmigiana, all kinds of things like that. So they all went. So I am now making another lot. So basically, if you want to come and have a look, how we start is we get our tomatoes. Oh yeah, my partner Steve is behind the camera, so he's helping. Okay, so this is a Roma tomato, and that's its face, where the grow dot is, and that's its bum. In its bum, I cut a small cross like that. Okay, and I do that with every tomato. So I've already started doing some here. So basically, with my 7 kilos, I just go along and do this. And Steve, you might as well cut it now because I don't want to see me. Okay, so I've bummed my tomatoes, that's what I call it. So they've all got this cross in the bottom, and I've put them back in the box just to save me time moving things about. Okay, while I was doing that, I put a pot on the oven of boiling water. It's just the boiling water. Okay, and I have over here in my sink iced water, and this is what we're going to do to peel the skins off our tomatoes, so we blanch them. Okay, see this bag here? That's got ice in it from that I don't want mixed in with this water because it's from the freezer, but it does its job. It does freezing for me. So this water is freezing friggin' cold and so I will show you what to do to blanch. I use this, or you can use any kind of, you know, slotted spoon. I got this off eBay, $1 including delivery from China. Friggin' awesome this thing is. Okay, so basically what you want to do is you've got your boiling water, as you can see. You grab tomatoes, I've got a bunch of them, and you plop them in the water. Then you wait 1 minute. Now this is how I do it. Hey Google, set the alarm for 1 minute from now.
Okay, your alarm's set for 1:41 p.m.
If you don't know what that is, that's a Google Mini. I got it off my brother for Christmas. It's friggin' awesome. Everybody needs to have one. I can say something like this. Hey Google, find me a recipe for bacon and eggs on toast.
Alright, I've got a recipe called Bacon, Egg and Toast Cups from Martha Stewart. This recipe serves one and takes about 11 minutes to make. Does that sound good?
Yes, that sounds good.
Great, let's get started. Before we start, preheat oven to 375 degrees. Let me know when you're done.
Hey Google, cancel. So that's just one of the things that you can do with these Google Minis. And she's going to tell me when 1 minute's up. And so we basically wait, and that's the cue that 1 minute's up. Hey Google, stop. So what you do now is you take the tomatoes out, and you can see the skins are already coming off, and then you slip them and plop them in there. You take the others out. Slip, plop. Slip, plop. Slap on a shirt, slap on sunscreen, slap on a hat. Okay, and then you get more. And you put them in the boiling water. Do it safely. Like I said, I don't have any of the newfangled gadgets to do all of this. I just do it my way. Hey Google, set the alarm for 1 minute.
Right, your alarm's set for 1:43 p.m.
Now this, as you can see, is an ice bath. It reduces the heat of the tomatoes really rapidly. So once you've put them in and they look like they're done, just transfer them, and I just transfer them over to this side of the sink. And you can see how easily the skins come off. And if you're good at multitasking, you can start pulling the skins off while you wait for the next batch to be done. And so this is a quick process that you have to go through. And with the whole 7 kilos, or what, you don't have to do 7 kilos obviously, you do whatever you've got. If you've got you know, a veggie patch outside and you've got tomatoes, you just use any tomatoes. They don't have to be Roma tomatoes. I like Roma tomatoes, but there's some amazing tomatoes out there, so you can use them. And that's how quickly it peels off. And so then you go over, back to here. You grab these. Hey Google, stop. You grab these, put them in the bath. You grab these, put them in the bath. I like this thing, this purple thing, because you can fit more than 1 or 2 on there. Okay, grab some more. Chuck them, oops. Slowly drop them in. I'll do a couple more than that. Hey Google, set the alarm for 1 minute from now.
Alright, your alarm's set for 1:45 p.m.
Take these out. Now, I should have another bowl here, which I don't, so I will get. Now, just clean my hands off and find a bowl to put the peeled tomatoes in. So I'll stick that there. And these are our peels. It's not going to fit a kilo, 7 kilos of it, but what are you going to do? Okay. So you peel them in here, chuck the skins. You can use the skins. People roast them and do stuff with them, but I've never done any of that, so I really can't tell you if that's a good idea or not. But get the skins off. Hey Google, stop. Okay, and you go through the same process. Grab some tomatoes. Nice 5 in 1 of that go. Drop it in the iced water. Grab more tomatoes. Now, you'll see the ice is slowly melting. I've got some backup ice that I'm going to put in that bag. So, more tomatoes.
Should we put it here?
Hey Google, set the alarm for 1 minute. And you basically go on like that until it's all done. Okay, so I'll come back when it's done. Okay, we've done all the tomatoes, so if you want to have a look down here of the 7 kilos, so this is how many peeled tomatoes that we've got. Quite a lot. My recipe usually does 5 kilos of Roma tomatoes, so I've got 7 there, so I'll tweak it a little bit. I don't really do the measurement sort of thing accurately. I'm not gonna, you know, do the math, but yeah, so what I'm basically doing here is, this is my spaghetti recipe, or my spaghetti sauce recipe, the base. So the whole point of doing this preserve is so putting it in a jar is that you can take it out later and add anything to it. So any kind of spaghetti, not spaghetti, any kind of pasta dish that you have, or Italian dish that you have that requires a Napoli base or a marinara base, you can do, or if you've got your home recipe that you think is the best spaghetti recipe that there is, you basically do everything except for the meat part. Make the sauce, and then you preserve the sauce, and so then when you're done, you know, if you want to make a chicken dish with spaghetti kind of, not a spaghetti, a pasta kind of base, then you just go grab that jar and you've got it already there, tasting beautiful for you. A lot of the times what I make with this, if I'm in a hurry, is I just chop up some bacon, if that's all that's in the fridge, and cook up some pasta, get the sauce, put it in, mix it up, cook it, you know, for a little bit of time, and you've got a quick, beautiful meal. So yeah, so my recipe is, I've got 2 capsicums here, diced up, and I'm in the process of cutting up, dicing up some onion. So I've got 3 sort of medium-sized onions that I'm going to use. I usually use 2. I've kicked it up a notch because I've got 7 kilos. So basically, you all know how to cut, I'm sure. I don't know if you do it the same way as me, but this is the way I cut up onions.
She's left-handed, so...
Yep, I'm left-handed. Always makes things look difficult. Now just slice to there, and you need, always get a good knife. And you've diced your onion. So move that over there. It doesn't matter if it's mixed up because it's all going to go in there in the pot together anyhow. Basically at the end you just chuck in everything. So if you notice, I leave the root bit of the onion. Am I covering it up, Steve?
A little bit, but...
Sorry.
Beautiful. Lefty.
Lefty. My mother used to freak out, you know, with my left-handedness, going, "You make everything look like it's hard." She'd say me net. Yeah. And slice here, slice, 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 slice. Chuck you over there, do the same. They don't have to see all of the slicing, so you get the point. With mine, it's just capsicum and onion, and the tomato, and the rest is herbs and stuff like that, which I'll show you in a minute. Okay? What I'm doing is being an idiot. This olive oil, obviously we're making the sauce. Okay, so
Someone's a Muppet Show
I'm a
fan.
Muppet Show fan. So I chopped up about 3 onions and two capsicum. I'm just going to lightly saute them in here. It's on a bit high, so I will do it quickly. And I'll pick up that stuff a bit of those. See, that's high. But it shouldn't have been that high. So yeah, I'm just going to lightly saute the... Hey?
Every time I go, you start talking, you look at the camera, then you look away again.
Okay. I am lightly sauteing the onion and the capsicum. Okay? Doesn't have to be for a long time because
Look at me, I'm looking away.
they can hear my voice. They can hear my voice.
Okay.
So they can hear my voice. Yeah. So it doesn't have to be for a long time because it's going to be cooking for a fair while. Couple of hours in my case. So I'm just giving you the recipe for my spaghetti sauce, huh?
You're going to saute for a couple of hours?
No, I'll make a sauce for a couple of hours. It'll simmer for a couple of hours, so you don't have to do it until they're transparent, the onion or anything like that. You just need to...
When you see the camera coming up, look into it, don't look down there. Okay.
Well, I have to look at what I'm cooking. This is domestic. Domestic violence is coming.
Cook the mince.
Cook the mince. Okay, so there's the onion and the capsicum cooking. And now, once we've done a little bit of sauteing of that, we can chuck our tomato in. Now, I'll give you the recipe if you want for 500 grams of tomatoes, 5 kilos of tomatoes, but this is actually more, so I'll be doctoring it up a bit more too. So yeah, so now you just put the tomatoes in and they'll break down without their skins on. It takes a little while for them to do it, but that's all good. That's how you make an awesome saucy.
Yeah, you just did your first Jamie Oliver nonsense.
What, awesome saucy?
Yeah. You're saying lovely jubbly.
Lovely jubbly, yeah.
Start swearing like Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah.
Lovely fucking jubbly.
Okay, so this pot is way too small for all that I've got, so I'm going to have to wait for some of them to break down, and I'll push them. I'll snap them up with my spatula to get them broken down, and then I'll put the rest of the tomatoes in there, because I reckon I can get 7 kilos of tomatoes in there eventually. Okay, so and like I said, I think I've said it a few times now, if you've got a spaghetti recipe, spaghetti pasta, Napoli, marinara, I don't know what to call it, because some marinaras are called, like got seafood in them, and others have got
it's more of an American term.
Yeah, I'm not sure. So Napoli is what I call it.
Yeah.
Like Napoleon. Yeah, see how much it's crushed down already?
Have any American friends? You're weird.
Well,
I have a lot of American friends, and you're all weird.
Yeah. Okay, so there's crushed.
Especially you, Rimpy, if you're watching this.
Rimpy, want to know how to cook sauce?
Yeah. And don't think I've forgotten you too, either, Olivia.
So, no, this is just for the budget meals, snacks, and desserts page. I'm doing this for. I might only get 5 kilos.
That's a lot of tomatoes.
Yeah. Let's see what happens. Okay, so what else we need to do is get our tomato paste. New bottle. Got to keep the plastic off.
Don't eat the plastic off.
Yeah, don't eat the plastic. So you probably want, this is a 500 gram bottle. I will put in just over half of this, okay, of tomato paste. A third of the cup of sugar. Sugar takes the bite out of tomato, makes it much more tastier. Okay.
Takes the tartness out.
An eighth of a cup of salt, which I actually don't know what that is, so I just shake in some salt. That looks about right. Garlic. I don't use fresh garlic. But I better. I'll use a jar of garlic. But if you buy the no name one, if you check on it, it tells you how much garlic there is to everything else. And this one's 96% garlic, the no name one. If you buy the brand name ones, they're like in the 80s. So you actually get more garlic out of the no name one. So I put in 4 big scoops. I'm a fan of garlic, so if you're not, obviously you do it to your own
4
taste.
teaspoons, is that right?
Yeah, that's about the big scoops of. That's about a teaspoon size if it wasn't big scooped. Okay, and then you would put in oregano. Now I only have that much left, so that's how much is going in. Then you would do basil. I do about 2 teaspoons, which is that size. That's my teaspoon, yeah. I like this stuff. It's sort of half freeze-dried, half not.
Half what?
Half freeze-dried. It's not fully dried, but I like it. It's got a good aroma, especially the basil. So I put in 2 of them. Maybe a little bit more because that one wasn't quite heaped. I like them heaped. And of the parsley, I do 2 teaspoons of that as well. Same freeze-dried, half freeze-dried parsley when you get in the shops. But of course use the dried stuff if that's what you want, or if that's what you got. Use fresh if that's what you got. A little bit more than that. Yeah, that's about 2 of them. Okay, and I would put in, if you're into chilli, I'd put chilli in, but you can put chilli in later, so it's not that big of a deal. I don't put the chilli in now, but I have made ones that are chilli based. But yeah, like if you, next up, these are bay leaves. These are fresh. I've got a bay leaf tree, so I'm just putting in 4 small bay leaves in. Here it goes, it starts to stir.
What does bay leaves then?
Bay leaves is just a flavouring as well. And
how does it affect the sauce overall?
I don't know what you mean.
Okay, what flavours does it add to the sauce?
A bay leaf flavour. Bay leaf has a very distinct flavour. I can't, describe what that bay leaf flavour is. This is Worcestershire sauce.
Scintillating information. I learned so much.
I'm not here to teach them how to make sauce. I'm here to teach them how to preserve. How to preserve. Okay, and that's probably about it. And then time to stir him up.
Excuse me, listeners.
And you crush up the tomatoes as you go.
I think it's important to do every kind of process. People want to learn how to make a fantastic spaghetti sauce.
Well, I can't really tell you. I can tell you what Worcestershire adds to it. I can tell you what garlic and all that, but bay leaf, can't do.
You're getting more by the arse. I said people are going to know how to make a delicious sauce now.
Yeah, they are.
As well as know how to preserve.
Yeah. So.
Sorry, I got to set my filters.
Yeah, what?
It was just hammering everywhere. Okay. I'm disabled boys and girls, so sometimes my boat goes out on me and the camera will get a bit blunt.
Yeah. So as you can see, the tomatoes are already processing down, and some people like to put water in their sauce. I don't. I think the tomatoes have enough water in them, so I don't think it needs it. And the other thing that if you add water, it needs more simmering time, and so this will probably be simmering for about 2 hours once it's completely stirred through. And the tomatoes have boiled down, so I think that's long enough. You don't need to add water to make it simmer some more, but each to their own. Now it'd be awesome if I had all the fangled gadgets that you can buy, such as bigger pots than this, but the bigger pot that I've got I use for actually processing it's an old pot for processing the bottles once the sauce is in the bottles, so I don't use that to cook in. So this is the biggest pot I've got, and I think it's coming along looking quite well actually. I like that richness.
It does all. I know it's finished, but it still looks delicious.
Yeah. And the onions and the capsicum really, what do you call it? Infused down, basically, so that they are, hardly even noticeable. But that's what you want. Yeah.
Make sure you watch the camera catches up. Yeah.
What was that?
I said if you're going to look at me and talk to me, why are you looking at there for?
I'm not. I'm looking at your eyes. Sorry,
okay,
but
yeah.
you want me to look straight in the lens. Yeah. Okay.
So, hello.
Hello.
I'm just saying, Tanya tends to look at me and say things, and then when I pan up to her face, you see the side of her head.
Oh, okay.
So I look like a dickhead.
We're not professionals. So I'm only doing this for these people that ask for it.
I am a dickhead, don't get me wrong, but this one's my fault.
Yeah. But if you can see, that's mainly already broken down. I haven't done a whole lot of smashing. I don't get out a masher or anything like that.
The hipsters are going to be so disappointed.
It'll break down on its own, so I just give it a bit of help to give me more room. And I think this is about as much as I'm going to fit in the pot, so it's probably about 5 kilos, so I'm back to where I normally have. So I'll have to find... I'll have to find the time to... I'll put those other tomatoes in the fridge and make up another smaller pot and find the time to bottle them another time. But if you're going to do some bottling, put the day away for it. You know, this is a Sunday afternoon. That's why I'm doing it now. Nice and quiet Sunday afternoon. We've got a sick dog, so we're taking care of him at the same time. So we're not really able to go out much.
While she's doing that, I will show you our sick dog. Some of you may have heard of Duff, the dog with the crooked legs. Here he is. Hello, Papa. There's that famous boy. You can see in his leg there, there's his external fixture. It's going to be come off in a few weeks and he should have straight legs again. But right now he's feeling a bit sorry for himself. He's got a bucket on his head. Aren't you, puppy? Hey? You alright, Papa? Saying, I don't want to be filmed, I don't want to be part of your silly cooking documentary.
So, I will leave that. I will turn it up to high now, full heat, and I will let that come to the boil, and then I'll put it down to a simmer, and I will check on it probably every half hour or something like that when it goes back down to a simmer for about 2 hours or until it's at a consistency that I'm happy with. And I will probably show you one of them when I come back to it, just so you can get an idea of the sauce. The ingredients aren't your traditional ingredients, but I've doctored these up until I've made my own kind of sauce recipe, which is what I've just told you. And I have to admit, it's freaking awesome. It's really good now. Yeah. It's taken me ages, but I've got what I consider Spicko perfect. Schmicko, is it? Schmicko perfect. And those tomatoes will have died down by then as well. Okay, so I'll see you at the next mix. Thanks. Okay, I just wanted to show you how liquidy it gets. Now it's just come to the boil and now I'm putting it back down to a simmer. And as you can see how easily the tomato breaks up and how liquidy it is. That's why you have to simmer it for so long to get it at the right consistency, and those tomatoes will break up more. But just what you'd like to see. Okay. What I want to tell you about is what I use to bottle with. I actually use Fowler's jars. These are the litre bottles. I've got them in other sizes as well, but for today's what I'm going to put my stuff in is these. Now they come with a seal and a cap and a cap clip, but I don't have enough because people have taken bottles away and things like that. I don't have enough of the top bits to go on my bottles, but you can use this kind of stuff. You buy these are the what are they called? La Parfaite, which is a French company. They're basically the Fowlers of France, and you can buy these in shops like $2 shops and things like that. But you don't have to use this kind of stuff either. You can use old spaghetti containers, like the jars that they come in and all that. But what you have to look for is on the inside of the cup, or the cap, sorry, you'll see this rubber bit that goes around the sides. Now, that is virtually, get off, is virtually one of these seals, but it's because it's mass produced. So you know that when you get a spaghetti, what do they call it, Lego spaghetti sauce or something like that, they all come in a jar that's already sealed, and they've already all got that rubber bit on there. So what you do is you reuse those old spaghetti jars. Some fruit jars have them, but the way that you test them is that you fill up the jar, whatever jar you're using. So let's pretend this is an old Legos jar. You fill that Legos jar up, and I'll show you how to make sure that you've got enough air space in there and all that later. But what you do is you put the lid on like you normally would, tighten it really tight, go through the sealing process, which I'll show you, and then when it's finished, you tip it upside down and like put it on the bench or something like that. If it leaks, it's not sealed. If it doesn't leak, it is sealed. And that means that that stuff, because what it basically does is makes that softer, and then when that soft rubber bit hits that bit, it seals, and it works 9 times out of 10. So you don't have to go buy this stuff, but you know, I find them really useful, and you can buy them really cheap second hand, because they're not going to go, they're like seriously big jars, like thick jars. They're not going to be any issue for you in the future. So if you want to invest in some Fowlers, which is the Australia's best company for it, or if you want to get these La Prophète jars that come from France, or if you just want to use a spaghetti jar, you can still preserve your stuff. Ta-da! Changed. Okay. What I wanted to show you is that it's been probably on the simmer for about 2 hours now, and it's nearly there, but it's not quite there. But now is a good time, so you can see the consistency. I do like my sauce a bit on the runny side, but this is still too runny. But now is the time to taste it and to balance out the flavours. So I haven't tasted it yet, so I'll just have a little taste. Okay, it needs a bit more earthiness to it, like depth of flavour to it. So I might put in a beef stock cube. I'm going to put a bit more Italian herbs into it and see how that goes. But yeah, so it's really rich tomatoey now, but I want to get the tomato flavour to be a part of it, not to dominate it. So yeah, and you do the same thing if you want. Hi, I'm back. Okay, so Steve, do you want to have a look in here and show them the sauce? So this is my sauce. I still like a little bit of runniness to it. So there are juices, so if I want to simmer it down while I'm making whatever dish I'm making, I can and not have to add water to it, because I don't like to add water. I'll just go get some lemon, because that's the last bit.
Does anyone want a bit of pot? We've got a lot to go around.
Okay, so knife.
Looks delicious.
Excusez-moi. Okay, so I just squeeze a little bit of lemon in it because that helps with, I squeeze a little bit of lemon in it because it helps with the preserving part of it. Okay, so don't have to do a lot. Probably the juice of 1 lemon, maybe even, you could even do 2 for this, but I'm pretty sure it's okay. Goes in there. And the other lemon, quite juicy.
What are you actually doing there, squashing it on your hand?
I'm just catching the pips, so it saves me getting a squisher out like that. I just lost a pip, so that's why I do that, just to catch the pips. And there's that pip. Okay, and I'll give it another stir around and the liver juice is in it. looks and smells good.
I can attest to that,
Yep.
being an eyewitness.
Yeah. So these are the jars that I'm going to use now. I've decided to go with a 750 milliliter bottle than the 1 litre bottles that I had before. So that'll just, I don't need 1 litre because there's only me and Steve living here, so it's all good. So what we basically do is whatever jar that you intend to use to preserve in, you need to get the jar, and obviously these have all been boiled and sterilised beforehand, as well as the lids. So if you're using the Legos or the fruit jar or whatever jar, even the one that came with the tomato sauce, that jar could be used. But if you're going to do that, you need to sterilise them beforehand, and that basically means boiling them in water. Okay, these have already been done. So what I just basically have to do is fill them. And this can get a bit messy. It might be better to use one of those ladles.
Is there any kind of funnel you could use?
You can buy funnels, but I don't have a funnel. There are a few gadgets actually that I want to buy. There is the funnel that actually goes over these perfectly. Okay. And there is also a grabber, which is like a tong that literally is made to grab these things, which I wish I had, and I'm going to get one day. That's the first thing I'm going to buy, because I get them out of this pot that you'll see in a minute, just with normal tongs, and it can be quite precarious. So what you basically So basically what you do is your bottle starts from this room here, so you want to leave at least 1 centimetre. So that's just under there. So probably where the bottle begins to pull out again, curve out again, probably that is the line that you will use to make sure that you've got the right amount of space up the top, because you need that space to create the suction. You're really, really close. You're meant to be this close. Yeah, so...
I thought I was close to you, my love.
So, yeah, so... that is the first bottle. Now, when I'm cleaning the bottles up, I use paper towels because, you know, they're clean. It's not like a kitchen cloth, because that's been, you know, over bench tops and all that sort of stuff. So I just get a paper towel and wet it down. And then I clean the rim of the bottle that needs to be clean, and where I've made a mess. So that bit's not important as much as the rim of the bottle, that top lip bit there. Okay,
that's
so that's
seal
one.
Too.
Hey?
That's the part where it seals, correct?
Yeah, exactly. So it's for the seal. So I'll put that one over there, and I'll go get the spoon. Okay, I'll try using this spoon, and hopefully there won't be as much mess. Okay, so I'll take that one out for now. And time to feed the bottles. There are 4 bay leaves in this, and I'm hoping to catch them beforehand. I've already caught one, but I haven't seen the other 3. So it's all...
Maybe you have to build a wall to stop them climbing over into your jars. Like, we call it Trump's special sauce.
Oh, that's the worst joke ever.
Yeah. Thank you for those out there who did laugh at that. You probably shouldn't have, but yeah.
Okay, and a little bit more. Nice. Okay. Just need one this time, just to clean the edge up and the mess that I've made. So clean that off, clean that off, and there's another jar. You also want to make sure there's no air bubbles, so a good shake at the end is good. I don't know if I did it to that one, but I'll do it right now. Okay, good.
When you shake that, so move back so the camera can get
Oh, sorry, so I was just shaking it like that, like you would do for anything to get the air bubbles to come up to the top.
Okay.
Sometimes it settles and you can put a little bit more pasta sauce in, or whatever you're bottling, and that's fine. So, do another one. It's good to do it when it's hot.
Why?
It just, because you're going to go put it in a hot bath anyhow. If it's cold, particularly if you're using like a Legos jar or something, Legos jars and all the ones that you get from pre-manufactured places that aren't specifically preserving jars are a lot thinner. You'll see that these are very, very thick glass. So if you put cold into your jar and then you put a cold jar into the hot bath, it could crack. So you don't want that to happen, obviously. So it's better to do it this way when it's hot, because now it's going to heat out the outside of the jar. Okay, so that's another one done, and much better than having a mess this time around. And you basically keep doing this until
Slow down a bit next time so I can catch what you're wiping.
Found one. So basically you keep doing this until you've filled up all your jars. Okay, so you basically just clean off the top like that. So where you're going to seal, which the seal goes on there, is clean, and nothing's going to get in the way of creating that seal. Okay, so that's the first step, is putting them in there, making sure having more space than than less is still fine between your jars. Okay. With the Fowler's one, they come with you can buy these separately. I'm actually getting a new set soon. They actually say you should only use them once, but I find that they're fine. As long as you don't wash them in hot water. I just clean them in cold water. The rubber does perfectly well, and I've used these numerous times. And this is the cap that goes on the top. So what you basically do is you put the rubber. I'm going to take some skill to do it without. You take the rubber and you put it on the top of the lip. Okay, make sure it's not bent, twisted or anything like that. Bring it up to the top, as close to the top of the lip as you can. So that's usually the first ridge, because these are made with ridges. They're not like screw tops, so you just get one ridge all the way around. And you need to sit this in that ridge.
Can you point the ridge out with your hand at the way and point the ridge out?
So on this one.
Could you do it on the one that you're working on?
Well, I've put the jar.
Could you put it down on the ground and just point
but
to it?
I've already put it in the ridge, see?
Yeah, but could you move your hand away so people could move your hand away?
Oh, okay. Alright. So that's the ridge.
Yeah.
So if you've got a screw top jar like that, that's how screw top jars look. They've got little catches here that go onto there. And yes, so they
it's
thread.
It's a multi-start thread.
And you can tighten them like that.
Yep.
These are different. These have one ridge along the very top, and that's where you put your rubber
seal.
band or the seal. Yep. And so then you put your lid on.
Move your hands out the way and go slowly. Yep.
The lid, you put the lid on top, place it nice and firm, and then you have your
okay.
Okay, and then you have your clip. and
Hand out the
clip
way.
it down like that, secure. Okay, and that whole thing goes into the pot, which I'll do later. And continue on with the same. Now, just to show you, if you're using this kind of La PF jug, or if you were using a Legos jug or jar or something like that, you would just do it normally with the thread. Remember, it needs to have that rubber seal around there, because when that places on top and you thread it and do it as tight as you possibly can, that tip of this jar is hitting the rubber seal that's already made into the lid. So that's what you need to look for. You can use any jar as long as you can see that rubber seal, and it's just a thin piece of rubber, but that's what they're all made for. And at the end of it, you have your contents in it. You've put it through the in the water, and you've taken it out. And if you tip it upside down like that, if it was in one of those Legos jars or something and it leaked, then it's not airtight. But if it doesn't leak, it is airtight. And some of them have like a little ring on the top there that sort of impresses in. This one doesn't have it, but on some jars, you know, that you'll find on the Legos jars.
Sealed.
Hey,
The
yeah,
shots be vacuum sealed.
exactly. So that vacuum seal will actually indent, and then you know that that's sealed as well. Yeah, but I'm just going to use these Fowler's jars. So that was one. Then I get another one.
Slow, hands out the way.
Okay, well I can only work with my hands this way, so we can try and put it like that, but see how it's all twisted? So I have to untwist it, so make it nice and level on your jar. That's got a twist, has it? Nope, that's got a twist there, so take that out of the twist. And see, there's a twist, and there's another twist. So you got to be careful. See how it's twisted there?
Take your hand off.
You can just see it there. See the twist there? That it's not all flat, smooth, and then you sort of get a bump looking thing.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's not smooth. So you've got to keep it smooth all the way around. And that's nice. Okay, then again, for the Fowler's jars or the La PF, do exactly the same sort of process as this as well. You put the lid on, just checking if it sometimes you can feel it doesn't feel straight,
Yeah.
but you need to make sure it's straight. Then you get the clip and you clip it down. And you can move that clip around if you want. Okay, so now we're at the last part of our process. See our great big pot? Its water is at boiling point. It's not bubbling over, but that's fine. And you'll see I've already put one jar in, just to demonstrate that these jars need to be completely submerged in the water. So I don't have the things. I will be getting the tongs that have the grip that goes specifically around jars, but I don't have that right now, so I use barbecue tongs. Okay, and so I pick up my...
Maybe you should pick it up from the lid, maybe you should pick it up from below the lid.
I can't hear you.
Maybe you should pick it up from below the lid, yes.
That's a bit hard, okay. Below the lid. And then you gently put that in the water. Now I've got a little bit of bubbles coming out, but that's probably just air coming out from the top of the lid. But it should stop. If it doesn't stop, we'll take it back out. Okay, and here comes another one. Yeah, obviously this is about, you've got to be very, very careful. And another one. Completely submerged they are. Okay. Oops. Second last one.
It's back there bubbling, but I'm assuming that's a bubble between the lid.
There's slight bubbles, but that's okay, only if it keeps going strong. It's just letting out a bit of the air, so it'll form a vacuum seal.
The other stopped.
Yeah, so it'll form a vacuum seal. And there's the little one.
I can't form a vacuum seal without some kind of aeroscope.
Yep. So there you go. And they've got to stay in that water at that temperature, so like a boil, for at least 30 minutes, maybe 40, depending on how well it's going. But the water will decrease in that time, evaporate. So get your bone chute going, so I can suck up the air, and we'll see how these little babies go. Yeah, this is the sealing process.
So, but what it's actually doing is it's actually heat treating the content. It's vacuum sealing and heat treating the contents so they don't become oxidised.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah, because when oxygen gets into them, that's when things go bad.
Yeah.
When you preserve it, you seal in, that makes sure that nothing gets in there, so that it can last a long time. This is the last bit, thankfully. Okay, so as you can see, if you come over and have a look at the pot, they have been in here for 40 minutes. Okay, 30 to 40 minutes is about the average time. They are still submerged. They need to be submerged through the whole process. That's a very important part. So I'm just going to turn off all of the bits. And then I've got my tea towel here. And basically all you have to do now is take them out of the pot and you're done. Let them cool down, label them, and put them in the pantry. Okay, so be very careful. Like, this is exactly when I want the tongs that are made for this process. So there's one. Be careful because it's very, very hot, obviously. Number 2. See, that's why I've got to be very, very careful. Are you alright?
Yeah, it's done.
Down to 3. Just going to have to move them over there so I can see properly.
What's that cupboard?
Yeah. That over there, and that one over there. Five, and one more. Turn it to its side so I don't hit the clips. And there we go. So, this is how to do it when you just got your own stuff around the house. It works perfectly fine. Leave the pot to obviously go cold, as well as these. So I just leave these here until they cool down. Then I'll get some labels and put labels on of what they are and the date that I made them. Just stick them on the on here, and you're done. You put it in your pantry. So I hope that's what everybody wanted to see. That's preserving Tanya's Napoli or marinara sauce, whichever one you want to call it. Perfect base. Thanks. Bye.